HRSD, we're a regional wastewater treatment facility. And like most water agencies, we suffer from several barriers to recruitment, most of them being centered around the fact that we're invisible to our communities. So people don't know who we are. They typically don't know what we do. Even if they know we do wastewater treatment, they don't understand all the different careers and responsibilities that go along with that. In addition to that, we have a very stable staff. And so we have a retirement issue that's coming on. Next few years, we'll see a huge retirement wave. And so we trend to be older than most other utilities for that reason. And so we don't engage our youth population very well. So of course we could spend a lot of money to try to overcome that, right? But that's not really the lane that we serve in our communities. And so we thought it'd be a really good idea to partner with someone who is engaged with the community, who knows the community's needs, where their people are at. And that's where Christina Brooks comes in.
And our role is to build bridges between our job seekers in the community from the time they're in middle school all the way until they retire with our business community. We're able to connect them with training opportunities, employment opportunities, as well as those wraparound supportive services that help them complete their training and stay employed. So when HRSD reached out to us and let us know about this wonderful program that they were interested in developing, we were very excited to partner in that recruitment and retention space. So our role is to work with our K-12 systems and help identify youth who would be interested in this pre-apprenticeship program, help them navigate the application process, help HRSD with that interview and selection process, and then help them with developing their soft skills. They're paired with a mentor called a career coach who provides an hour a week of mentorship throughout the whole pre-apprenticeship experience. And then we also help provide supportive services such as any type of transportation help they may need. Maybe they don't own a pair of professional clothes to wear to the interview. So our organization steps in to help provide access to those resources, as well as, again, that recruitment effort to connect them to this opportunity in the first place.
How do you connect with high schools to find that pool of potential young adults to join the workforce?
So our emerging workforce department has very deep partnerships with not just our public school systems, but also those youth-serving nonprofits. Wherever those spaces are that youth are spending their time, we have developed a lot of partnerships with. And we'll go visit them at their different convenings and say, here are some opportunities. And then we're able to bring our employer partner with us so that they can tell their story and talk about what they do. And in some cases, it'll be the first time that they've even been able to get access into that classroom or into that program. Because as Christina mentioned, nobody really wonders where their water comes from or where it goes. So they don't know that there's a whole career pathway there.
There's always the yuck factor in this industry that you have to overcome when you're trying to bring new people into it. How do you talk about it in Hampton Roads when you're engaging with younger people who are considering joining the utility?
I don't know if ours is a unique approach, but we are just very, very honest and open about what it is we do. A lot of people think that our youth shy away from those areas where, you're working out in the sun, maybe it doesn't smell great. But, it's really getting to the heart of what are their concerns and what do we do? So we mentioned, yes, we treat poop water. That is what we do. However, we do that in such a varied way that there's no times you're really coming in contact with that if you're wearing all your protective equipment. There's different processes and safety procedures. There's a lot in place to keep them from that. But we like to engage them with that because it's very real. They feel like they're getting the information. We're not coddling them. So we tell them, it's an inclement weather. It's during all hours of the day and night sometimes. And they get really excited about that level of responsibility, knowing that they are creating an impact in their community is, I think, one of the best selling points for our youth, because they see what is happening in the world and knowing that they have an impact in that is actually pretty meaningful for them. They don't shy away from that.
Tell me more about your workforce situation, Christina. You talked about the coming retirement challenge. When did you first notice that, and how has it started to play out, and what do you expect the implications to be for Hampton Roads?
So we've actually been expecting it for quite some time, and due to economic issues, we've been able to postpone that just a bit. There's been uncertainty, and so people are less likely to retire when they don't know or don't understand how the economy is moving. So we've been able to push it down the road a little bit, but we are coming to the point where we're seeing higher numbers of retirement. And I think in addition to invisibility, another, I don't know if I call it an issue, but another barrier that we have is that the majority of people come into the water sector from word of mouth recruiting. It's a very organic matter. People who are in the industry know how great it is, and so share that with their friends and family. But as our workforce diminishes, there's fewer people speaking out about it, right? There's less word of mouth, less travel. So it's one of the reasons why I thought this program, it was such a unique approach to that, because a lot of water agencies are trying to build out their recruitment. They're really trying to find new ways of doing it. But we have to be realistic. Word of mouth is how we've maintained ourselves, and that's not something we can just push under the rug. So instead of setting it aside, really what we're trying to do is amplify it. Instead of just employees talking about what we do, now we have parents, students, high school teachers, community leaders, our workforce council. We have so many people now talking about it through this program that word of mouth can still work. It's just now we've amplified that.
Tell us a little bit about the nuts and bolts of the apprentice program. Can you explain a little bit about what fields and how it actually operates?
So our apprenticeship program does have 8 different trades. We have some very traditional trades, and then we have some that are unique to the water industry. The way our apprenticeship works is that we are employment based, and so we have to have an open vacancy for someone to be able to do apprenticeship. We really like that model because we are able to guarantee everyone full-time employment once they complete their apprenticeship. And also along the way, they're getting paid their full salary at an apprentice rate. So it's a great alternative to higher education, but also we're able to train both in a theoretical and practical sense. So they get the broader understanding of what it is we do through our classroom instruction, but then they get the, like you said, nuts and bolts, the hands-on, the wrench turning of what it means to be a water worker at the same time. So combining the two really reinforces what it is they're learning, but also gets them to a fully qualified status much quicker than traditional methods. So our operations division handles all of the wastewater treatment, conveyance, and systems maintenance for our organization. It makes up about 65% of our organization, and almost everyone within that division is required to go through the apprenticeship program. So we have had to expand the trades that we have, but we feel like it really gives us the most bang for our buck because the training is really immersive, but also such a great retention rate. When employees know that you're willing to invest in them without them having an understanding from the start, they're more likely to stay, which is a great thing to have, but has also led to, why we have so many retirements coming up. We have employees that are 35, 40 years of service. And so we do think it's a sustainable model, and we're looking to expand that.
I do think that part of why her model and HRSD's model appeals to young workers who are in that exploration space is because they're not yet committing to a specific trade, right? They're coming in and they're getting exposed to a variety of opportunities. They're getting to spend time with a variety of people, and they're getting to know this industry. And at 16, 17, 18 years old, we're still figuring out who we are, let alone what we want to do. And this model lets them explore many different things. And it also helps reassure parents who have a lot of questions about this industry themselves and may be a little apprehensive because there are a lot of stereotypes about skilled trades and dirty jobs, to be able to understand that kind of deeper perspective of an industry instead of just one singular role or one singular job. So it's definitely a best practice and a strength for this program.
Mm-hmm. That's good to hear. Christina, will you tell me more about kind of some of the numbers of people you've been able to bring into HRSD and how long you personally have been working on this?
Sure. So I've been working within the apprenticeship program for the last 6 years. It's going 45 years strong. So we were actually the first wastewater industry apprenticeship in the nation. And so we knew about it long before it became a thing. We've actually helped a lot of other municipalities build theirs as well as they start to see the benefit and actually the return on investment on this. Retention rate is always high. We always have between 100 and 120 apprentices a year in our program.
Wow.
We've created over 600 since we've started. And it keeps growing, which is a great problem to have, right?
Your program is very robust. Do you have advice that you would provide to other utilities on what they could do to succeed? Maybe things to watch out for or things to make sure they do?
It is not as difficult as it may seem, and it does not require as much money as one would think it does. My biggest takeaway from this project is actually that we need to lean into what works and who makes it work, right? So for water industries, word of mouth has been our bread and butter for so long. We don't need to get rid of it. We just really need to find new avenues to get people talking about what we do. And then find who makes it work, right? So like I mentioned, we easily could have tried to recruit. We could have tried to make those connections at the schools, but that's not what we do, right? Almost every local government has agencies dedicated to each of these different factions. And it's finding the people that do it and letting them do the work that they do, right? No one knows about water industries because we do our work so well, right? We don't have line breaks. Everyone turns on the faucet and they don't question whether water's coming out. So
Right.
we do it well, and we need to magnify that. People appreciate what we do, but it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And so apprenticeships is another one of those things. With the Department of Labor, they make it very simple to understand the requirements of developing an apprenticeship program. There's always their regional contact representative that you can tap into. They're more than welcoming of calls. I've called them all the time. They always have a great answer. And they're really looking to expand that. The government has put a lot of money into expanding apprenticeships as well. So if it is a funding thing, it's just a matter of looking at local, federal, state grants around that, because there are plenty. But especially around staffing, a lot of times people imagine it takes a whole staff to make this run. We're an organization of 900 people, and our staff is 4 that makes this work. So it doesn't take a lot of people. It really just requires a good structure and instructors that are willing to make it happen.
And I think the words of recommendation would come from 2 perspectives. Perspective 1 is recruitment, and the second is retention, because we know that making that first connection is only the first part, but helping to keep them in the career is a different conversation. So when you're looking at recruitment, go into those spaces where you historically have not gone and spread the word. But as you do that, don't be afraid to use language that is not necessarily the word apprenticeship.
Right.
So don't be afraid to use words like earn and learn, work-based learning, even internship, because those are words that they're going to be more familiar with. And an apprenticeship is an earn and learn model. It is work-based learning. So, meet them where they are in the language that they may be familiar with, and then educate on what an apprenticeship looks like and how to move through it. From a retention perspective, remember the human element. These are human beings that will have many complications in their lives. There will be issues with transportation. There will be issues with scheduling. But as you're building your program, make friends with the organizations that provide those resources and can be the advocates and the allies, because that will increase your retention in the program, not just your recruitment to get them in.